Hello, my friends. It looks like the energy ceasefire is officially over. Russia has restarted the attacks on energy infrastructure of Ukraine massively. For example, this is the Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. According to the recent reports, the local power plant and the local mine was targeted by the Russian Giran drones. Shahid drones, basically. Those are the copies of Iranian-made. And we have those blurred images coming from Cherkasy. Some of the energy power station was attacked. There were some of the disturbances reported with electrical supplies once again. Also, facilities were hit in Kryvyi Rih and Zaporizhia Oblast. Not yet strikes on Kiev were the last night, but I think that this night Russia may restart massive attacks on Ukraine. At least we have this warning from Ukrainian military command. Well, Zelensky said a couple of days ago that Ukraine will also not strike Russian energy infrastructure. I guess if Russia renewed that, Ukraine may continue full scale. Because even for the last few days, Russia continued the strikes on Ukrainian infrastructure, Ukrainian buses, trains, and lots of the facilities. Excluding energy, yes, but today everything is over. I already filmed a separate video about the energy ceasefire. It is good that it was for at least few days, but what is next, no one knows, and there is no road map to reach the long-term ceasefire, not even saying about the truce on the front lines, so Russia will continue the strikes, sadly. To the other news, according to the Institute for the Study of War, Russia is building military infrastructure right at the border of Finland. A satellite image shows the reconstruction of the abandoned Soviet military base in Karelia region. This region is actually the occupied Finland territory that Soviet Union gained before the Second World War. And here we have the reconstruction. Russia works full scale over there and they send some of the equipment, vehicles. They are restoring the Soviet heritage bases right at the border with new members of NATO. Well, even before there were reports that Russia started to build new even military bases close to Finland, but now we have the real image in time, before and after. And here's the article of the New York Times, and even they understand the background of those so-called peace talks and why Putin wants to really occupy Donbass without even using his military power, just as a result of some sort of the negotiations or basically forcing Ukraine to capitulate. Why is taking the rest of the Donetsk region is so important for Putin? Basically, it's the key for the further occupation of Ukraine, and here in the article they definitely stated like it is. Basically, it's the most fortified part of Ukrainian front lines, without capturing which Putin is unable to proceed further. He absolutely must take that part of the land with all of the settlements. And for that, he'll have to waste lots of the resources, lots of the time, maybe 2 or 3 years and several 100,000 of the Russian soldiers. And that, in its turn, will shrink down the Russian economy and the Russian regime itself. So it's not a good variant for Putin, actually, to continue the war as it is. In this case, why not to use a diplomatic weaponry against Ukraine? And the name of that weaponry is Donald Trump. One more tactics of Russia is to intimidate our European partners and also, by the way, United States itself. Medvedev again calls about nuclear weapons. This is an extraordinary weapon and exceptionally dangerous for the fate of humanity, but if the fate of the country is at stake, no one should have any doubts. That's their strategy. Sometimes it works just on Delulu politicians. Most of the Western leaders, they understand that it's better to continue the support of Ukraine because it's the security of entire Europe. Also, Russia bribes some of the European parties, like for example Marine Le Pen. She is in Epstein files. The National Front, good part of their money comes from Russia. This is the message from Jeffrey Epstein himself. The same, I guess, goes for AfD in Germany and many others. So soft power, intimidation, diplomatic political game around business deals with Donald Trump's administration. That is how Russia acts. But actually on the front lines, Russian soldiers, for now, are useless. Alright, Russian propaganda already says that they need to launch a nuclear weapon to the space, to shut down Starlinks. I wonder if it is an effective tool to really shut all of those satellites down and whether they're really capable to do it. But they're saying that Elon Musk took the side, Ukrainian one, and he helps Ukrainian defense minister, who is a freaking butcher, to unalive lots of the Russians. Wow. Yeah, soon Russians will not be capable to use their Starlinks any longer on territory of Ukraine, on occupied territory as well, because Ukraine has already introduced the mechanism. Yeah, yesterday I told you that it will be up to be introduced. Well, today we have more information about how to verify Starlink terminals. For business, it is going to be online, but for Ukrainians, they personally need to go to the special centers. Well, those centers are already in Ukraine. They're used as the government services for Ukrainian people, for whatever you need, marriages, passports, so those kind of the government centers. So Ukrainians, if they're private persons, should go there and just present their data of the Starlink. And if it is some sort of the business, it is easy to verify it. So Russians cannot physically go, they don't have business, and for them Starlink is going to be over their pocket completely. They're saying about it themselves, they were using Starlinks massively. And for the army in Ukraine, it will be the different type of verification via Delta system. So 3 variants to verify Starlinks. After it, this data will be collected and sent to Starlink company itself, and those Starlinks will be working. The rest on territory of Ukraine, whether they are coming from abroad or just flying over, will be blocked. But volunteers still will be capable to purchase Starlinks for Ukrainian army. They just need to go through verification. That's it. Meanwhile, Russia tripled the production of their Iskander missiles. Why? Well, because they will be unable to use their drones like BM-35 or Molnia drones, which they used because of the Starlink capabilities. For now, it's just not possible. So again, it's the load on the Russian budget, because those Iskander missiles, they're very expensive in production, and I would say they are less precise compared to those smaller drones, which could be guided directly to hit targets far behind the front line. And in most of the cases, the price of each Iskander missile is way more expensive than the target it hits. So it's absolutely not profitable for Russia. But with the Starlink ban, they don't have the other choice. Alright, here's the Ukrainian Sukhoi 27 fighter jet just dismantles Russian position somewhere on the front lines. With the help of American GBU-62 guided bombs, destroy Russian infantry. Yes. An interesting thing about American and French-made gliding bombs that they're not really heavy, but at the same time they're very precise. Unlike Russian-made, because they're very heavy, but they're in lack of precision. So Russia looked at the American GBUs and they decided to upscale their own production, and they use even FAB 3000, sometimes even FAB 5000 to demolish not just some separate household, but the entire block of the houses. In this case, they don't really need that precision. And what we have here is the Russian air defense system book. They try to hide it in the forest spot, let's say. And later on, Ukraine launched some of the strike. I wonder what is that. It seems like the kaboom happens in the air, releasing the shrapnel to the ground. Yep. Could it be a HIMARS shell like Gimler's or something? Probably. Or some sophisticated artillery shell, I don't know. This happened on the occupied territory of Donetsk, further away from the front lines. Nevertheless, Ukrainian drones, surveillance drones, they are flying elsewhere. This is, I guess, Lelek, a surveillance drone that spotted this Buk air defense. Here we have the compilation from our drone pilots from 68th Brigade. They're deployed on the front lines in multiple of the directions. They show how Russia sent some of the supplies using Bukhanka vans and also all-terrain vehicles. Forsage 11, yay! You see, with rotation we have those kind of the CGI-like effects. Oh, Jesus, the Russians are sending lots of the stuff, but each time they are annihilated. Yeah, guys from the 68s, they do a fantastic job there. Minus one more hero of Russia. His name was Muslim Muslimov. Yeah, Ukrainian Defense Forces liquidated hero of Russia, Dagestani national Muslim Muslinov. Yeah, no more details, but we have this information also coming from the Russian channels, so it's been confirmed. Yeah, here we have black and white photo from one of the Russian channels. Oh, such a huge tragedy. Oh my god, they are saying that it's too bad. He should have stayed home. Stay home, Russians. Alright, Sweden is preparing one of the largest packages of the military support for Ukraine. They will include sub-radars, which might help Ukraine to identify enemy unmanned air vehicles. Also electronic warfare equipment and many other tools. Sweden is really focused on defending Ukraine because they understand that Ukraine is out there. It's a shield of Europe. Also, Sweden participates the PUR program, so they're purchasing equipment and ammunition from the United States, delivering crucial components for air defense for Ukraine. Well, guys, I'm gonna update you with more of the news, probably even today, so stand by, and thanks for your kind support on Patreon and membership of YouTube channel, and not just YouTube channel. You may also watch me on Spotify. If you want, of course, the link for my other media and another YouTube channel where I will stream also today is in the video description below. And please don't forget to press your huge like to this video and subscribe to the channel to boost the video in algorithms. Thank you so much for it. My friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.